Hello, everyone. Bobby Jones here. Just finished watching the Pentagon press conference with Secretary of Defense Hegseth and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Kane. And I just want to throw some initial reads and thoughts out there. First of all, make no mistake, the objectives of this operation, the United States and Israel, when dealing with Iran, are clearly still ill-defined. Number one, this whole thing, if we go back to Operation Midnight Hammer, which they love to brag about, was about stopping the Iranian nuclear capability. Now, it's it's now about regime change, which, by the way, has also morphed into reduction of missile capacity and Iran's offensive capabilities to reach out and touch U.S. interests, assets, and allies. So we have seen in a period of 6 months the actual reason for these strikes continuously change. Most importantly, though, no defined end state on what victory looks like. And so the arrogance that I saw Hegseth display when the media asked that direct question was was laughable to me because it's a legitimate question. The American people want to know why they're sending their young people into conflict, and you cannot tell us. Now, the other thing that's disturbing too is the timeline or the expected timeline. It has grown from 4 days to now 4 weeks to now Hegseth saying, hey, it's going to be at President Trump's choosing. Okay, got it. That's because they don't know what is happening right now, despite the rosy picture. We might get into that in 1 second. What's amazing to me is they can give you a definitive timeline because they cannot give you definitive objectives. So just keep that in mind. Um, the fact that the media, he kept taking shots at the media, is because he knows, as we all do, if the media does their job right, they are supposed to, no kidding, keep the military and the government accountable for their actions. He wants people to feel like the media is discredited or has an agenda, and he may be right. The problem that he's running into is a lot of the reports coming out of the AOR, the Area of Responsibility right now, are from social media posts, right? So Chairman Kane talked about the F-15 fighters that crashed. We have video that was posted on social media of it, to include the ejection of the pilots and them picked up by Kuwaiti authorities. So make sure you understand the media and social media are going to continue to push stories with the Pentagon like now, preparation for these things, this is why they kicked out the regular Pentagon Corps a few months ago, so they could try to control the narrative. But they are completely estimating the power of social media and people recording Bahrain hotels being hit, Fifth Fleet headquarters being hit in Bahrain. Um, the other thing that jumped out to me was the overwhelming, effusive, hyperbolic language to describe the military action that is taken. It's as if they want you in awe of America's military. Well, newsflash, the world knows America's military might is significant. It's strong, it's powerful, yes. But that does not give you an answer on what the goal is here, what the objective is here. You can have all the greatest toys, you can have the most hardened warriors, as Hegseth loves to refer to people as now. And if you don't have the objectives laid out in detail for your force and the American people to understand, then history shows us it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Um, and then just another piece of this too that I found very interesting. Never before at a Pentagon press briefing have I heard the combatant commander mentioned by name as much as we just had. So CENTCOM, United States Central Command's command officer, uh, um, who I actually know, right? Great leader, good man. And they're like, we're going to give him everything he needs. He's making the decisions. He's on the ground, blah, blah, blah. This goes to something that, okay, on the surface, it sounds like it makes sense. But I also believe that it could set him up, Admiral Cooper up, to be the scapegoat if things go sideways. Because what's happening here is Hegseth is trying to walk this fine line of saying how awesome and how plugged in President Trump is as commander in chief while creating the exit and the out. Well, if something goes wrong, it happened down the chain of command. It happened at Admiral Cooper's level or someone else's to protect him and give him the way out. Okay, if things go sideways. And make no mistake, we now have 4 casualties here in the first 48 hours of operations. Okay, we have multiple base hits across the board. And, Hegseth called them squirters, but we call them leakers. When missiles get through your air defenses, it's going to continue. It's going to continue. I know personally areas that I deployed to in the Middle East that have now been destroyed. And it's painful to watch because I have a lot of memories associated with those areas. That being said, this is going to be a war that, to be completely blunt and honest, is going to be harder than they're trying to make it seem in the press conference. You can say oohs and ahs and warriors and this, that, and the other, but understand the Iranian regime is fighting for survival. The fact that President Trump mentioned earlier last night that, hey, the people that they had earmarked to take over Iran were accidentally killed in the strikes show a lack of coordination between Israel, United States, and forces. Additionally, the fact that the F-15 that came down were victims of friendly fire continues to show a lack of. Heck, in the United States, the Custom Border Patrol had one of their drones shot down by the military because there's no deconfliction of airspace. And if that's happening over the United States, I'm not shocked at seeing F-15s fall in the Middle East. These are the issues that need to be addressed. When they talk about being professional, when they talk about understanding strategic goals, when they talk about the weapons and the materials and the people being used, the reason these questions matter is because if you cannot state goals, if you cannot literally lay out what we're doing, it's hard to coordinate in the granular detail that is needed to overcome the fog of war. Period. Over 2+ decades in the United States Navy, a lot of it in the Middle East, and I know exactly what those ships are going through. I know exactly what the air defense commanders of those various sectors are going through. And with so many things flying in the air, to deconflict it takes people who understand totally what objectives are, what's supposed to be defended, what's the priority of what's to be defended. But yet, everything that's being thrown out here right now is basically a PR campaign. They want the actual exercise to happen, but everything that they pay attention to in detail is the verbiage that they use to describe what's going on, the powerful language, the awe-inspiring reflection of military operations. Everything that is sizzle but no steak. And the thing is, the American people not only deserve the steak, our young people in uniform deserve to know exactly what's going on. Now, behind closed doors, they have a better idea. But if you are the parent or the spouse of someone that's deploying, you don't have a good idea what's going on right now. And we just found out that the United States Congress here has no idea of what the heck is going on because they have not been properly briefed either. It's going to be interesting moving forward to see how these things play out. And if anything else happens, I will come back live. But that press conference really wasn't informational. It was kind of propaganda light. And most of the information that was talked about, we already know via other news sources, other means, and even social media. And that is scary. I'm still waiting for an official address from the President of the United States, from his mouth, saying why we are doing this. That social media 8-minute post ain't it. Ain't it? Lay out the objectives. How does regime change work? Who's responsible for it? How long do you expect troops to be there? What do you say success is, both in the region and diplomatically? What does the next 6 months, next year of Iran looks like, and how does it affect America, the rest of the world, and the allies? How? And the other piece that no one's talking about, the countries that are being attacked for basically having American bases there, they have dialogues too, but amongst themselves, amongst the United States. And how is that looking moving forward? The entire landscape of the region, dare I say, the world is changing because of these operations. And all we're getting is a glorified press tour.